You've been taught your whole life to be good, to be kind, to be gentle, to be agreeable, to do the right thing, even when it costs you everything. And somewhere along the way, you started believing that being good would save you, that your goodness would protect you from betrayal, that it would shield you from cruelty, rejection, and loneliness, that if you just kept giving, kept forgiving, kept smiling, the world would eventually reward you for it. But that reward never came, because the world doesn't reward goodness. It rewards clarity. It rewards presence. It rewards those who stop asking for permission to exist. And the truth is, what you've been calling goodness might actually be something else entirely. It might be fear. Fear of conflict. Fear of disapproval. Fear of being alone. It might be a performance. One designed to keep you safe in a world that punishes authenticity and rewards obedience. And while you've been trying so hard to be good, you've slowly disappeared. You've swallowed your voice in the name of peace. You've betrayed your needs in the name of loyalty. You've shrunk your truth in the name of being easy to love. But the result hasn't been love. It's been invisibility, resentment, burnout. Niccolò Machiavelli, one of the most misunderstood thinkers in history, once suggested something radical. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Not because fear is the goal, but because love that comes from appeasement is not love at all. It's manipulation. It's survival. It's a cage. And the ones who always try to be good, they become the most easily controlled, the most easily broken, because everyone knows they'll never say no, that they'll bend, that they'll keep showing up, even when they're dying inside. So let me ask you, what if being good is costing you your life? What if goodness, as you've been taught, is just another form of self-erasure? What if the constant urge to please is actually the deepest betrayal of your own soul? This is where the rupture begins. When you realize that being good has never been about integrity, it's been about approval. And approval is a drug, one that keeps you tame, predictable, easy to use. You were not born to be used. You were born to be whole. And wholeness begins the moment you stop trying to be good and start trying to be true. You've been told your kindness is your strength, that being nice, polite, forgiving, generous, no matter what, makes you a better person. But no one talks about the other side of kindness, the part that costs, the kind that weakens you, the kind that bends until it breaks, the kind that smiles through the sting, the kind that gives more than it has, and still feels guilty when it needs something back. Machiavelli never dismissed morality, but he understood something most people fear to admit. The appearance of goodness is often more powerful than goodness itself. In The Prince, he wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." And this is where many good people fall apart. They assume their intentions will speak for them, that if they are honest, people will be honest back, that if they give without condition, they will receive without condition. But the world doesn't operate on idealism. It operates on perception, power, and strategic positioning. And while you were busy being kind, others were watching what they could get from you. You became predictable, dependable, safe to take from, because you never say no, because you never fight back, because you keep the peace, even when it costs you your voice. This is not virtue. This is self-erasure. And Machiavelli would call it dangerous. He warned that those who cling too tightly to moral purity become the easiest to manipulate, because they are bound by an internal code that others do not share. And when you play by rules that no one else respects, you don't just lose. You lose quietly. This is the kindness that makes you weak. Not because kindness is bad, but because you've turned it into a cage. You've used kindness as a way to avoid confrontation, to delay decisions, to protect your image. You've chosen being liked over being respected. being agreeable over being honest, being needed over being free. But what happens when your kindness costs you your dignity? What happens when being good becomes an excuse to stay small? The people who thrive in this world are not the ones who are always kind. They are the ones who know when to be kind and when to stop. They are not cruel. They are strategic. They understand that being good without power is not virtue, it's vulnerability. They choose their moments. They know when to give and when to withdraw, when to speak and when to remain silent. And most importantly, they know that real kindness can only come from strength. Because when you are strong, you don't have to be kind to be safe. You can be kind because you are safe. That is the difference. The weak are kind to survive. The strong are kind because they choose to be. So ask yourself, has your kindness been a choice or a shield? Has it been strength or submission? And if it's the second, what would happen if you stopped? What would happen if you let yourself be firm, clear, even cold? Not because you've lost your humanity, but because you've finally found your edge. That question isn't meant to make you cruel. It's meant to make you conscious, because the world does not need more goodness at the cost of self-betrayal. It needs wholeness. It needs integrity. It needs people who are kind and strong. People who no longer confuse self-sacrifice with morality. People who are done bleeding to be seen as good. Because in the end, the ones who stop trying to be good are often the only ones finally capable of being real. Not all kindness is pure. Some of it is real, generous, open-hearted, free. But much of it, the kind you give when you're exhausted, resentful or afraid, isn't kindness at all. It's a mask made of smiles, a mask stitched from silence, a mask that says, "I'm okay, even when you're not." And what lies beneath that mask isn't evil. It's fear. Fear of conflict, fear of rejection, fear of losing love, fear of being seen for who you really are. So you use kindness not as a gift, but as a strategy. You give to be accepted. You agree to be included. You soften to be safe. It feels virtuous, but it says not. It's control. You're trying to control how others see you, control how they respond, control whether they leave or stay. And the irony is brutal. You try to be good so they won't hurt you, but in doing so, you hurt yourself first. Machiavelli would not be surprised. In his world and in ours, people wear masks not to deceive maliciously, but to survive systems that reward illusion over truth. He understood that appearances matter more than intentions, that people judge your image, not your essence, and what you call goodness might just be a performance designed to earn safety. This is why being the good one feels so exhausting. Because you're not being yourself. You're being a version of yourself crafted to please others. And deep down, you know it. You know that your yes is often a disguised no. You know that your patience is sometimes passive punishment. You know that your forgiveness is, at times, a silent protest no one hears. You smile not because you want to, but because you want them to stay. You help not because you were full, but because you're afraid of what happens when you stop. You suppress the darker parts of yourself, not because they are wrong, but because you've been taught they make you unlovable. But nothing repressed stays quiet forever. The part of you that's tired of being good starts to leak through. Maybe through resentment, maybe through self-sabotage, maybe through exhaustion that no amount of rest can fix. Because you're not tired from doing too much. You're tired from being too little of yourself. You're tired from managing everyone else's emotions. Tired from anticipating what version of you is safest to present. Tired from carrying a self-image that's clean, agreeable, acceptable, but never fully true. Carl Jung warned about this. He called it the persona, the mask we wear to function in society. It's not inherently bad. It allows us to interact with the world. But when you believe the mask is you You lose access to your soul. You start to believe that love is conditional, that safety is earned through pleasing, that authenticity is dangerous. So your kindness becomes your prison, a golden cage built with good intentions, but still a cage. And here's the most difficult truth. People don't love the mask. They tolerate it. They use it. They enjoy its convenience, but they don't see you. Because you never gave them the chance. You made sure you were lovable. You made sure you were safe. You made sure you were pleasing. But in doing so, you made yourself invisible. And now, even you can't find yourself. This is not a call to become cruel. This is not permission to hurt others. This is a call to stop using kindness as camouflage, to stop calling fear virtue, to stop hiding behind morality because you're afraid of being messy, angry, real. Because true strength isn't found in being endlessly agreeable. It's found in being undeniably authentic. Machiavelli wouldn't tell you to abandon your morals. He'd tell you to own your power, to stop waiting for virtue to protect you, and start protecting yourself. You don't have to be mean, but you do have to be clear. You don't have to be hard, but you do have to be whole. You don't have to destroy the mask, but you do have to remember it's not your face. Because until you do, you'll keep wondering why no one truly sees you, when it was you who chose to disappear behind kindness all along. You've done everything right. You've said the polite things. You've swallowed your truth. You've shown up when they didn't. You've forgiven what no one apologized for. You've made yourself available, gentle, safe, and still, it wasn't enough. They left. They lied. They disrespected you. They forgot you. Not because you weren't good, but because goodness doesn't guarantee anything. This is the brutal truth most people never want to admit. Being good won't save you. It won't shield you from heartbreak. It won't earn you loyalty. It won't secure your place in someone else's heart. It might even do the opposite. Because people don't always respond to your intentions. They respond to your boundaries. They respond to what you allow. They respond to how much of yourself you're willing to trade for their comfort. And when you build your identity around being good, you give everyone around you a silent contract. I will betray myself, as long as you stay. But they leave anyway. They take anyway. They hurt you anyway. Because people don't always value what is always available. They don't respect what is given without limits. They don't stay loyal to what never challenges them. And you're left confused, angry, empty. You ask yourself, wasn't I enough? You were. But being enough has nothing to do with being good. Niccolò Machiavelli warned us centuries ago. Men are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, and covetous. And yet, you were taught to expect that your virtue would protect you from the reality of human nature. It won't. You were taught that if you just loved harder, showed up more, gave endlessly, people would never leave you. They will. Because the world doesn't run on fairness. It runs on energy. And if your energy is the easiest to take, it will be taken. That doesn't make others evil. It makes them human. But what makes the difference is how you respond. When your goodness becomes your only strategy, you lose access to your discernment. You can't tell when someone is manipulating you because you don't allow yourself to judge. You can't see red flags because your need to be liked clouds your vision. You can't protect yourself because protection feels like cruelty. And so you stay in situations that deplete you, in relationships that strip you, in identities that erase you, because walking away would make you feel like you're failing at being good. But here's the truth. Being good should never require you to abandon yourself. If it does, it's not goodness. It's conditioning. It's the inheritance of a system that taught you your worth depended on how much of yourself you could sacrifice for others. It's a survival tactic, a form of emotional submission, a learned behavior from childhood or culture or religion that told you goodness means silence, goodness means never saying no, goodness means putting yourself last. But that kind of goodness won't save you. It will bury you. Because while you being good, someone else is being strategic. Someone else is choosing themselves. Someone else is saying no, not because they don't care, but because they've learned that care without clarity is chaos, and love without limits becomes a prison. Machiavelli wasn't advocating for cruelty. He was advocating for reality. He understood that power belongs to those who aren't afraid to act, not those who wait to be rewarded for virtue. So what do? You stop seeking safety in morality. You stop looking for love through self-sacrifice. You stop defining yourself by how agreeable you can be, and you start practicing a different kind of integrity, one that isn't based on how others see you, but how honestly you live with yourself. You start saying, no, that's not enough. I won't stay quiet anymore. I don't have to be liked to be whole. I don't have to be good to deserve peace. And something shifts. You stop feeling like a victim of other people's choices. You stop blaming the world for not honoring your softness. You stop wondering why love never feels safe. Because now, you've made yourself safe. Not through performance, not through perfection, but through sovereignty. Being good won't save you. But being honest might. Being whole might. Being true will. That's what they never told you. You don't need to be a good person. You need to be a free one. You've spent your life trying to be good, to be kind, to be fair, to be generous, to be what they wanted you to be. And maybe you were. Maybe you succeeded in being the good one, the one who never made things harder, the one who always gave more than they asked for. But still, something was missing. Not outside you, inside. A quiet feeling that no matter how good you were, it wasn't real. Not because your actions were false, but because they weren't truly yours. You weren't choosing them, you were performing them. And here's the moment of awakening. Being good is not the same as being in integrity. Goodness is a social costume. A moving target defined by context, culture, religion, family dynamics. What's good in one space is wrong in another. What's praised today is shamed tomorrow. But integrity? That's something else entirely. Integrity means wholeness. It means all the parts of you, light and shadow, softness and fire, are aligned, not silenced, not edited, not filtered to be more digestible to others. Integrity is when your yes is honest, and your no is final. It's when you stop trying to manage how others perceive you, and start making peace with how you perceive yourself. Machiavelli didn't ask you to be ruthless. He asked you to be real. To understand that trying to be loved by everyone will eventually cost you everything that matters. Your time, your truth, your voice. Because the person who constantly adjusts to stay good in the eyes of others, that person never gets to become who they really are. Carl Jung spoke of this too. He warned that the real danger isn't in being rejected by society, it's in rejecting ourselves in order to belong to it. You cannot become whole while you still addicted to being good, because the need to be good always contains a hidden fear. Fear of being seen, fear of being judged, fear of being powerful. And so you dim your fire, you downplay your instincts, you apologize for your boundaries. But you weren't born to be a symbol of moral perfection. You were born to remember yourself, and that remembering isn't clean. It's not polite. It's not universally admired. Because it means reclaiming the parts of you that were once punished. The rage, the ambition, the clarity, the unapologetic knowing that says, this is who I am, whether you like it or not. That is integrity. It is not always good, but it is always true. And truth, not image, is what sets you free. When you begin to live in integrity, things shift. You start to lose people. Yes, people who only loved the version of you that was convenient. You start to feel more alone, at first, because shedding the mask leaves you exposed, raw, uncertain. But then, you begin to breathe. You begin to feel stronger, cleaner, more at peace, not because everyone approves, but because you finally do. You stop over-explaining. You stop over-giving. You stop trading pieces of yourself to buy moments of external comfort. Because now, you trust your own voice, even when it shakes, even when it goes against the crowd. You trust your own silence, even when it's misunderstood, even when it costs you connection. You trust your own power, not to control others, but to stop abandoning yourself. This is where you reclaim your life, not through aggression, not through dominance, but through non-negotiable clarity. This is the kind of person the world needs, not someone who is always good, but someone who is always honest. Not someone who conforms to every room they enter, but someone who brings their center wherever they go. You don't need to be everyone's favorite. You don't need to be admired. You don't need to be liked. You need to be you. Because real integrity is rare. It rattles people. It exposes their masks. It threatens the systems that run on pretense. But it liberates you. And that liberation, that unshakable inner alignment, is worth more than any approval you could ever earn by trying to be good. So stop chasing virtue. Start living the truth. And let the world adjust to who you actually are. There's a silence that follows your awakening, a stillness that doesn't beg to be understood, a presence that no longer adjusts itself to fit. It's not pride, it's not arrogance, it's authority, but not the kind that shouts, not the kind that dominates. It's the kind that no longer explains, the kind that walks into a room and doesn't scan for approval, the kind that speaks only when something real needs to be said, the kind that chooses absence over performance. You become someone others feel, but can't quite define, because you've stopped performing the role of the good one and started embodying the truth of the real one. And that truth is untouchable. You're no longer reactive, no longer negotiating your needs, no longer molding yourself into someone digestible. You're simply there, whole, solid, at peace. Machiavelli once wrote, "A wise man ought always to follow the paths beaten by great men and to imitate those who have been supreme. But true greatness, he knew, comes not from imitation, but from the courage to rule over your own life. You don't need to control others. You don't need to convince them. Because now, you have stopped seeking to be good in their eyes and started living true in your own. And the world feels it. You'll notice how people treat you differently. Some will respect you more, not because you demand it, but because you command it. Others will fall away, unable to meet you without the mask. Let them. Because your value is no longer measured in how many people like you. It's measured in how deeply you stand with yourself. Your time is now sacred. Your energy is curated. Your truth is unedited. You no longer chase connection. You cultivate alignment. You no longer avoid conflict. You walk through it with calm. This is the authority of the person who no longer needs to be seen as good, because they have chosen to be free. And freedom is the most terrifying thing to those who still live for approval. But to you, it's peace. This isn't the end. It's the beginning of your life on your terms, without apology, without performance, without the chains of artificial virtue. You are no longer a reflection of what others need you to be. You are who you've always been, beneath the need to please, beneath the mask, beneath the performance. And from this place, you no longer need to be heard to feel whole. You don't need to be understood to stand firm. You don't need to be loved to know your worth. You simply are. And that, in a world addicted to approval, is the most radical act of all.